CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
And the Nanaimo man is facing jail time after brutally beating his girlfriend's dog with a hammer. The Newfoundland named King has made a miraculous recovery since being attacked in a Nanaimo yard. The man is Matthew Dean Tremblay. He's been sentenced to 6 months in jail after pleading guilty to assaulting the dog. Tremblay admitted that he repeatedly kicked and punched the dog before he began beating it with a hammer when his girlfriend wasn't home. King suffered severe injuries to his head, eyes, and mouth.
The wonderful news is that this dog has made a full recovery, given the extent of its injuries. King, he had puncture wounds to his head from the hammer. He had severe bruising all over his body, swelling, lacerations all over his body, ulcerations in his eyes. He was vomiting blood. He really was, in just horrible, horrible shape. And to have the dog make a full recovery, it's the best outcome you could possibly have.
Tremblay has been ordered to pay more than $5,200 in restitution for the veterinarian bills. He's also been given 30 months probation, a 25-year ban on owning or living with animals, and a court order to stay away from his now ex-girlfriend who is living with the dog at an undisclosed location. There is a massive cleanup going on in the water across the Strait of Juan de Fuca from Victoria in the Port Angeles harbor tonight after a barge spilled more than 370 liters of heavy fuel into the ocean. The accident happened shortly after 3 o'clock this morning when a barge was being fueled up and overfilled. The U.S. Coast Guard and a marine spill agency are working to contain the mess. Oil spill containment booms are now in place. Another young Vancouver Islander who has won the hearts of millions while battling a life-threatening illness, Janice Edroff, is in day 3 of her tests at the Mayo Clinic. As we first showed you earlier this week, Janice and her family traveled to Rochester, Minnesota for a second opinion on a risky surgery to treat her neurofibromatosis. Janice got that opinion. She doesn't need that specific surgery, but now the doctors at Mayo are looking at what Janice does need, and they say the road ahead could be tough. Janice has a tumor in her abdomen that has wrapped itself around a femoral nerve. Doctors are trying to figure out if they can remove that without causing paralysis.
This week I've seen about 5 specialists. Well, I'm going to be seeing 5 specialists altogether. And that's pretty good for the first visit, so, and being so quickly changed. Coming to the Mayo has definitely met my expectations. It's such a great place, and they move fast on everything here, so I'm pretty glad to be coming here and hope to still be coming here down in the future.
Janice has more tests scheduled for tomorrow and on Friday, and she and her family will fly home from Rochester on Friday night. At least 39 people have been killed. Dozens of homes have collapsed in Guatemala after a 7.4 earthquake shook that Central American country this afternoon. People were streaming out onto the streets. Walls cracked, buildings shook. There are reports of landslides in the town of San Marcos near the northwestern border with Mexico, where most of the victims were killed and where most of the damage has been reported. There was no tsunami. There is another big storm hitting the same parts of New Jersey and New York, threatening to swamp homes, plunge neighborhoods back into darkness, and inflict more misery on the tens of thousands of people who are still reeling from Hurricane Sandy. Now, under ordinary circumstances, a storm of this size and sort wouldn't be a big deal, but mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for some Jersey Shore communities as a precaution. In New York City, police are urging people in low-lying areas to get out. And in central Connecticut, a harsh nor'easter has already begun dumping heavy snow. That's not all. The storm is causing delays and cancellations at area airports, which were just getting back into the swing of a normal schedule. Well, get ready for more new money. Canada's new $20 polymer bill was brought into circulation today. The Bank of Canada says the polymer, like the others, the 50 and the 100, is more durable than paper notes and more secure, tougher to counterfeit. It also had a complete makeover with images of poppies and the Vimy Memorial in France. The 20, you won't be surprised to learn, is Canada's most widely used banknote. New plastic 5s and 10s go into circulation by the end of next year. Well, it has been a staple in Victoria's movie theater scene for decades, and now the Roxy wants a taste of the booze business, too. There's a public hearing scheduled for tomorrow night where you can have your say on whether the movie house should get a liquor license. Owner Michael Sharp has submitted a revamped proposal with reduced service hours after neighbors objected to the first plan. He is asking the city to allow the Roxy to serve alcohol from 5 p.m. until 11 p.m. 7 nights a week. Now, some neighbors have come forward with some late-night noise concerns, but there are others in favor of the change.
I just think it would be a fun thing to do. Night out, you'd like a drink, and why not?
I think it'd be kind of cool. It's kind of one of the lesser popular theaters, like in frequency, so I guess that adds some extra pull. So it'd be good for that, I guess.
Councillor Chris Coleman agrees. He says the application could set a precedent. It is the first liquor license proposal the city has received under the new rules for movie houses announced by the province in April.
We also want independent screens to thrive economically, so you don't have to do it by selling the soul of the neighborhood. We've dealt with similar sort of situations when we went on Broad Street with an assembly hall style opportunity, and it has been very, very well managed for a number of years now. So it hasn't caused the problems that some people were concerned about. I would expect the same sort of thing if council chooses to look positively on this, then I would expect good management will be the principle.
Council will open the floor at City Hall tomorrow night for a public hearing that gets underway at 7:30. After 2 months of labour unrest, the University of Victoria has now finally reached an agreement with two of its QP locals. Members of Locals 917 and 951 and the university have now officially ratified their new contract agreements. The union members voted to accept the 4-year deal offered to them November 1st. Workers will not get a raise in the first or second years of the new deal, but they will see a 2% increase in each of the third and fourth years of the deal. And unionized workers at Vancouver Island University say they will hold off on job action while a mediator tries to come to an agreement with both sides. The QP members voted overwhelmingly in favor of strike action if necessary last week, but they say they won't act on it while the negotiations continue. Both sides have met with a mediator. They say they're making progress towards a renewed collective agreement. Meantime, talks have broken down between Camosun College and the union that represents more than 600 of its support staff. QP Local 2081 takes a strike vote Saturday, and if those members support the strike mandate, they could be off their jobs at Camosun as early as Tuesday. The union there has been without a contract for 2 years. Nearly 1,000 high school students came out in droves today to see what the marine sector has to offer them for a career. Students who are trying to determine their job and career paths dropped by the 2012 Marine Industry Expo at CFB Esquimalt today. The expo showcases more than 70 career options in the marine industry, featuring trades such as welding and bomb squad teams. Organizers say there is a lot of opportunity in the marine sector on the South Island, which allows students to start training before they graduate.
You can take away two major things from this event. The first is the fact is that there is the ability to have secure, well-paid, meaningful work here in Lower Vancouver Island. The second thing is that we want them to start planning for their post-high school training while they're still in high school. We've got great programs that are being offered over the province that can enable students to get their level 1 technical training happening while they're still in high school, getting their tuition paid for, and getting high school credits.
More students will get to have a look tomorrow as the Marine Expo continues. 3 snapping turtles discovered on Vancouver Island this summer, completely out of their element, have now been euthanized. The small snappers have been put down after the province and the North Island Wildlife Recovery Centre failed to find them a new home. They say they tried zoos and sanctuaries across North America, but nobody would take them. The Recovery Centre says it had no choice but to put the turtles down because they are foreign to the West Coast and are harmful to other species in the wild.
You know, it's not a role that we like to play, and it's not a decision that we make. It's what our permits and things say that we can do. And with these turtles, we tried everything with our vet, Dr. McCady, contacted everybody that he knew across the country, actually, that had facilities that may want to keep these turtles permanently, and nobody was able or willing to house them. And we're not set up to house them. They're a species that hibernates in the mud over the winter, and we can't provide that for them.
To own any species of turtle in British Columbia, you require a permit, and it is not encouraged that you bring non-native species such as the snapping turtle into the province. RCMP in Nanaimo reminds you tonight that when the sun goes down, it is not just the stars that come out, but the thieves do too. Mounties say auto theft is a crime that can be easily prevented, and as darkness is falling earlier now with the return to standard time, it's important to be on the lookout. The reminder comes just in time for Crime Prevention Week. RCMP asks all drivers to properly lock their vehicles and make sure they do not leave any possessions out in the open.
You have to be careful of leaving anything inside your vehicle. Anything that thieves can get their hands on, they will. This is from as simple as umbrellas to small change. This will reduce the opportunity. There will always be crime, but we can control and reduce the opportunity.
RCMP also recommend that you install alarm systems on your vehicle or use a lock on your steering wheel if you can. An update now on that 6.3 earthquake that struck about 180 kilometers southwest of Port Hartington just after 6 o'clock. We have reports into our newsroom of light shaking in Tofino and Ucluelet. The quake was just over 16 kilometers deep. There is no tsunami expected. No warning or advisory has been posted. Light shaking reported in the west coast communities along the Pacific Rim, but no reports of damage or injury. Nanaimo is opening its extreme weather shelter for the first time this season. You'll find the shelter in the Unitarian Church on Townside Road. It opened its doors at 7 o'clock last night and it'll stay open until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's getting cold overnight, and this is a place for anyone to go who needs a warm, safe place to sleep.
We give them a bed to sleep. We give them some dinner, hot meal. We give them some hot breakfast in the morning, and they leave at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. In the meantime, they're out of the rain.
The shelter has 24 beds. It will open whenever it is cold, raining, or snowing throughout the winter. Once again, it's the Unitarian Church on Townside Road.